She didn't go to the shrine because she stopped believing in God. She went because the pain of waiting became louder than the voice telling her to stay. What happened next destroyed everything she had left. This is the true story of Adaeze, and the price she paid for a child. Her name was Adaeze, daughter of the king, but the village of Nulo had a different name for her. They called her Enke Puke, the empty pot. 10 years of marriage, 10 years of prayers offered up every morning like seeds thrown into wind. She watched other women become mothers while she became invisible, and every sunrise felt less like a blessing and more like another day to survive. The village well was where they sharpened their tongues every morning. Adaeze could not avoid it, water must be fetched, and so she walked through it every single day, head high, back straight, pretending that words do not draw blood, but they do, they always do. Stone by stone, they were building a wall between Adaeze and her faith, and she didn't even realize it was happening. And then there was Emeka, the man who still looked at her like she had hung every star in the sky, even after 10 years of empty arms. Every night she crumbled, he was the wall that held. He was not a perfect man, but he was a faithful one. And in a world that had decided Adaeze was broken, Emeka was the only place she still felt whole. She just couldn't see that what she already had was enough. They say the most dangerous temptations don't come from enemies. They come from people who love you, people who just want to help. Chisholm meant well, she truly did. But good intentions poured into the wrong vessel can drown a person just as surely as cruelty. The door she pushed open that morning, she had no idea what was waiting on the other side. The Oji forest was not a place you stumbled into. Even the animals knew to go around it. The trees there grew twisted, as if something beneath the earth had been pulling them downward for centuries. The air was different inside, heavier, tasting of iron and old smoke. And if you stood still long enough, if you were brave or foolish enough to listen, you could hear something beneath the silence, something that had been waiting for exactly this, for her. Dibia Ogwu had been keeper of that shrine longer than any living person in the village could remember. They said his left eye saw what was and his right eye saw what would be. When he threw the cowrie shells that evening and they fell in a pattern he had only seen once before, his hand trembled. Not from fear, from recognition. He had seen this ending, and he told her. He told her everything, every word. He gave her the exact map of the destruction that was coming, and she listened. She truly listened, and then she chose anyway. She sat outside the shrine for 40 minutes. We know this because the fireflies came and went. She thought about Emeka's face, she thought about her mother's voice, she thought about the women at the well and the name they called her. And then she stood up and walked back through that door. The fire inside the shrine flared just once as she entered, as if acknowledging what had been decided. The covenant was sealed before she even spoke. The spirit had been waiting for someone exactly this desperate. And it had found her. 3 weeks later, she knew, the child had taken root, and for the first time in 10 years Adaeze glowed, truly, fully glowed. Emeka wept when she told him. He wept like a man who had held faith in bleeding hands for a decade and had finally been told it was worth it. He held her face in his hands and called her his miracle. And Adaeze looked at the man who had never, not once, stopped believing and said nothing. Nothing about what she had done, nothing about what it had cost. She told herself it was already done. She told herself the price might not come. She was wrong. One Tuesday morning Emeka did not wake up. No sickness before it, no warning, no goodbye. He had kissed her forehead the night before and said, "I love you," and turned off the lamp. And then the morning came and he did not. The village doctor said, sudden heart failure, a young man, a strong man, a healthy man, sudden heart failure. Adaeze sat at his bedside and did not scream, did not cry, not then. Because in the deepest, most secret part of herself, she had been waiting for the bill to arrive. She just hadn't believed God would actually let her pay it. But the covenant was not finished, because Adaeze had not told the spirit which life to take. An unguided covenant takes freely. 2 months after Emeka's burial, her brother Kelechi, 26 years old, newly married, drowned in a river he had crossed 1,000 times before. 1 month after that, her mother, 3 days of sudden illness, gone, and through all of it the child inside her grew, healthy and strong, every kick arriving like a bill in the post. She began to understand the true architecture of what she had done. She had not bought a child, she had purchased a destruction, and paid for it with the people she loved most. 7 months pregnant and shattered, Adaeze walked back to the Oji forest for the last time. She was willing to give the child back, she would give herself. Whatever price, she would pay it. She just needed it to stop taking people. She arrived at the shrine. Dibia Ogwu was sitting outside as if he had been waiting. He looked at her the way you look at someone when you already know how their story ends, and he told her what she had come to find out. There was nothing to be done. The covenant does not negotiate. It is not a market. You cannot bargain back what has already been consumed. She named him Emeka, after his father. The village celebrated and said God is faithful, and Adaeze held her son for the first time and looked into his face, his father's face, and understood completely what she had done. She had traded a life for this life. Every breath he took was borrowed from a man who should still be alive. She loved him so completely it terrified her, and it destroyed her completely. Both things at the same time, true, simultaneously, forever. She raised him with a love so fierce it frightened people. She stayed awake to watch him breathe. She fed him, clothed him, sacrificed everything. But she never laughed again, not truly, not with her whole self. The boy would ask, "Mama, why do you never smile in photographs?" And she would say, "I am smiling on the inside, my love." Every birthday of his she watched from a little behind the glass, present, but separated from the joy by something invisible that no one else could see. She grew old faster than she should have. Guilt is a fire that burns slowly and thoroughly and leaves very little behind. She had everything she needed, she just could not see it in time. Do not be Adaeze. If this story found you, share it. Drop in the comments, could you blame her? Subscribe for more African stories that will shake something loose in you. See you next time.